I'm
we
tired
are the
today.
Academy of
Yeah.
movie podcasts.
That's what we should do for like our anniversary, or maybe during the Oscar. We should do like a Duds Oscars where we just we nominate like all the movies that we've done.
Oh, okay.
And then, we do like best, I don't know, best screenplay, best
We'll all-
director.
We'll
Like,
all wear tuxedos and like
yeah. It'll be like the nominees for best director are
we
Milos Forman for Amadeus.
yeah,
and
yeah.
Lawrence Guterman for Son of the Mask. It's like, who's gonna win?
And the winner for biggest piece of shit director goes to
Michael
Michael Goy for Megan
Yeah.
is Missing.
Yeah, we'll have to have special like lifetime achievement
Like-
awards for people like Michael Goy.
And then
like
I think you can get them on Amazon, but you can order statuettes apparently online.
Oh, like little, yeah.
Yeah, one of my
That'd be
coworkers told me once that he found out that you could order bowling trophies online.
Oh,
And you can get custom, like you can get like 'cause-
engravings.
Yeah, and so
That's sweet.
he told me that he wanted to get the custom engraving on this bowling trophy that it says biggest penis award. and then he had it all planned out. When the mail carrier showed up, he would like, oh, what's this? And like open it in front of the mail carrier and pull it out. And it's like, they keep sending me these or something like that.
That's pretty great.
I was like, that's a very good bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost kind of want to do that for the show. That kind of sounds fun.
Yeah. We could do like a multicam setup. We could try and make a production out of it.
Yeah. Have you seen the I guess our cold open is now bleeding over. Have you heard of the 420 awards?
No.
Have you heard of Cool Cat? I should say that. Like Cool Cat Saves the Kids.
No.
It's by this dude named Derek Savage. I don't know if you can watch it on YouTube.
Oh, it's on Awful Movies Wiki.
Yeah, I think a lot of his stuff is behind like paywalls or whatever. But he's like this weird fucking dude. Like he seems like an extra from like Tim and Eric's Awesome Show.
Oh.
And he's like created this character called Cool Cat, and like I don't know, he's trying to make him like a kid's mascot type, and it's called Cool Cat Saves the Kids. And there's one that like he's been working on for like years and just hasn't released it, called Cool Cat. What is it? It's like defends women's rights or something like that. But I don't know. You'd really just have to see it, or like watch a video. If you can't find them, like watch a video of somebody like talking about it. It might be better to just get like a contextual video about it. But he's very weird. You go to his website, and I think it's just DerekSavage.com. And
Okay.
like depending on where you're at on the website, you can either have links to DVDs for his children's movies or links to like his nude modeling that he did back in like the 80s. And there's not really like a filter between the two.
Bad Boy the Male Dancer by Derek Savage, a novel and screenplay.
Yeah.
Oh no. Sweet Revenge, a story by Derek Savage, and it's just like a city skyline, and then there's just a guy's hand holding a gun. Like oh man, no, I'm looking at this.
Oh.
This is cool because like I looked it up, and there's an Awful Movies wiki. And I just love the shade that they're throwing here, because on the cover of Cool Cat Saves the Kids, it says Cool Cat is cooler than Barney the Dinosaur. And that's a quote from Ben Dacca, producer. So, it seems a little biased.
Yeah,
But then you scroll a little bit down on Awful Movies Wiki, and the first little subcategory is why it's not cooler than Barney the Dinosaur.
That's awesome.
Oh, holy shit. Okay, well, this is what I'm doing after the podcast recording.
Hell yeah. Cool Cat Funhouse is the page on YouTube. And it looks like you can watch. I guess I should have checked this more recently. You can watch Cool Cat Fights Coronavirus. That's on his YouTube. It's like 20 minutes. But anyways, another example of this is like on that same page with these like what are supposed to be like children's movies, I guess. He has the 420 awards, which like admittedly it's just, it's weed. It's not like if you're cool, you know that weed isn't like that bad. But like on a stuff with like kids movies or whatever, it's weird to have these things side by side. But essentially it's like this thing he throws each year on April 20th, and it's like it's only weed adjacent in basically in name only. Like it's very loosely it's basically just like his own personal movie awards, and he'll have like award for most badass fight scene goes to whatever,
right?
And then each year he'll do a best movie of all time, but like can't you only really do that once? Like unless something comes out in the new year.
It's like Donkey having Super Mario Brothers 2 be the game of the year every single year.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Although I want to say he has picked different movies for the best movie of all time thing. Although I guess if he actually gets people to vote on it, I don't know. I guess then that would be a different answer.
This guy is like an eternal 13-year-old. Because all of these things are like, this is all stuff that like a 13-year-old would think is cool.
Yeah.
Like guns and weed and badass movies. Like I'm looking at the third annual 420 awards. Like the favorite kick-ass movie, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure sometimes he'll even like include movies that like might have come out the year before, like not even in the same year. It's almost like if he forgot to do it the year before or something like that, he'll include it in like the next year's nominations or whatever.
The 420 awards for 2020, the favorite all-time movies are Forrest Gump, Titanic, The Big Lebowski, Platoon, and Back to the Future. and the Big Lebowski one. It's the 420 awards. It's gotta be.
Yeah, really, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, all of his awards for favorite all-time movie are just posters of movies that kids would have in their college dorm room.
Yeah,
it's like Star Wars, The Big Lebowski, Scarface.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul won Best TV Show. I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes the ones they go to, you're like, okay, yeah, sure,
yeah,
I'm on board. But it's just funny because like he has like a decent following. I think he does like Kickstarters or Patreons to like fund a lot of his shorts, but like it's crazy because they all look like they were filmed like in 2009 on like DV cams that we used for Ungrateful Dead.
Yeah.
But like, dude, just get a new camera. You have enough money to get like a DSLR or something.
Yeah. It's like that's like some Neil Breen type shit.
It's definite like Neil Breen vibes in like a different way, but definite Neil Breen vibes.
Oh man, what are you doing, Vivica A. Fox?
Oh yeah, her and Eric Estrada are both in
Why?
Cool Cat Saves the Kids.
Oh my God.
It's a Bruce Willis situation where they're in one scene, they're sitting next to each other and they have a conversation and they're like talking about Cool Cat. And then there's a part that I reference every time I see my cat Bernard. Where Eric Estrada goes, "There he is," And that's what I say every time I see my cat.
Oh man, this dude rules. I love this guy already. There's just something about those. Well, I don't know if it's safe to say about him, but there's just something about these like, financially well-off dudes that really want to make a movie but have no goddamn idea how to do it. But they have money to throw at shit and like random connections with celebrities, and they're just like, well, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. I should mention, as much as I am praising him or his products, I guess, I have heard a lot of like stuff about him being shitty because how I found out about him was through other YouTubers making videos on him, and basically he was really gunning to like get their channels deleted for like shitting on his stuff when saying that it was like copyright infringement when it's it's all like fair use, and he would like send them threatening emails and stuff like that. And there's also been I don't know, it's all like tangential information, but like him basically not following through on some of those Kickstarters, like that one that I was talking about. It's either Cool Cat teaches self-defense or something like that, where he's like, $10,000 and I'll make this, and he's just like hasn't made it. So I at least wanted to get that out there. It's still hard for I'm not gonna say don't watch his stuff because it's pretty funny.
I found him on Twitter, and immediately the first person that I see who was following him is Chris Chan. So that's
awesome.
That's all I needed to see.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. But anyways, the whole reason I brought him up was because like that was when you were saying like we get our own awards and like dress up in tuxedos. I thought of the 420 awards. I feel like that's the standard we should set ourselves to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing. We're awarding all these movies that, like, it's not like any of them are gonna know about it or see it or anything. Yeah. Anyways,
give a bunch of posthumous awards from the Philadelphia Story. No one in that cast is still alive.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a good one.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, this is There Will Be Duds. I'm your co-host, TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me, as always, I'm Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch. I think we're doing this like 40 minutes into the episode. Yeah.
At this point.
Whatever.
Maybe
I
like
said,
20.
This movie deserves it.
Anything but talking about this movie.
Yeah. And that movie being Son of the Mask, directed by Lawrence Guterman.
Guterman down, dog. Yeah.
From 2005, stars Jamie Kennedy as a cartoonist whose dog finds the titular mask, which was apparently made by the Norse god Loki, and in wearing the mask, he fucks his wife and impregnates her. And then they have a mask baby. And also Loki is looking for the mask. And they try to, I don't know, it's really weird. That's something I wanted to, like, the mask itself is, I don't know if I've ever seen a more like blatant MacGuffin. Because the whole movie, Odin is like, Loki, you need to get that mask back. And I don't think a reason is given once. You can imply, oh, we don't want a tool of the gods being in the hands of mortals, I guess.
Right.
But literally the whole time it's like, you need to get that mask back or else I'm disowning you. And Loki's supposed to be like a villain and he does bad things because he like incapacitates parents so he can shake their babies around a little bit. But other than that, he's like hardly a villain, but the movie is trying really hard to paint him as one.
Right.
He's not an innocent. I'm not saying that at all, but it felt like the movie thought he was more of a bad guy than he was. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the Loki stuff kind of came and went in like short little bursts. I don't know, man. There was like 50 minutes of this movie that I just like checked out. The big slapstick fight sequence between the baby and the dog.
That was the hardest stuff to get through. Holy shit!
I was totally checked out during that, and I was, and I don't remember if it was like this in the Jim Carrey movie where he only wears the mask a select amount of times, but I feel like there was only like 2 main sequences when Jamie Kennedy
It was literally twice that he wore.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was during the Halloween party where he was doing the thing, and then it was like the fight at the end. And then everything else between that, it was just held up by the absolute black hole of charisma that is Jamie Kennedy.
I would have taken Jamie Kennedy over the baby and dog stuff.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
That was peak, like mid 2000s. We don't know how to make a movie for kids. Let's have a baby and an animal like do silly things to each other.
Yeah. Well, it was really on the nose because basically the baby was inspired by watching like Woody Woodpecker and like Roadrunner and like all those old school cartoons that are extremely violent in like a funny way, and like replicating that over, like it was literally doing the frog "Hello my baby, hello my honey" bit, and then he literally does it.
The Michigan Rag. I didn't know that's what that was called.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it got to a point where it was just like repeating it. I was like, why are they still what's the deal with the baby and the dog? Like, where is this fucking leading? And they just kept doing it. And holy fucking shit, like it's terrifying throughout. Like, I'd heard about this movie being like freaky, but fucking hell, there's so much like just disturbing CGI in this. My first note of the whole movie was it's might be the ugliest movie I've ever seen. And I wrote this before Jamie Kennedy put on the mask.
See, my first note was that Edge City will be the hardest I laugh this entire movie. Which apparently is called Edge City in the Jim Carrey one, but this is like based on like a comic book franchise, and I guess Edge City is like, you know, it's like Gotham or just like whatever fictitious big city.
I think it's a reference to like, because in like DC Comics, the Flash lives in Central City.
Okay.
And then there's like Gotham, there's Metropolis. So yeah, I think it's a riff on like those very generic city names.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, any props to like some subtlety is probably just goes to the comic book and not the movie itself.
Right. It also, I feel like this movie did that thing where we're supposed to believe that they're a struggling family, but they live in a giant ass house. Yeah. That's like
a giant ass like Tim Burton house.
Yeah. Yeah, it is quite ugly. Like it's very like the colors are like big and vibrant in that I don't know how to describe it. It's just very garish and tacky.
Yeah.
Which almost seems like there's a point to it. Like that's the
the only thing I could think of is it's like trying to emulate a comic book. Is it trying to like come off like a comic book? But I don't think the first movie really did that. It was just more like a normal movie with the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fantastical element of the mask. But yeah, it's like, it's something like Tim Burton-y, but more colorful, not as muted. But if Tim Burton didn't know how to like properly color and shoot his movies, because there's like the way that it's shot kind of reminds me of how he would shoot, where there's like the big sweeps, like the zoom in on his face, so it kind of like it like almost like fish eyes on his face, so his face looks really like really close up to the camera, or like these sweeping things like down the stairs. There's a scene where he's trying to tell his wife that he just got a promotion, and she's trying to tell him that she's pregnant, and the whole time the camera's like spinning around them so wildly, and I'm like, wow, I was getting so frustrated. Like, why is this happening right now? And there were so many moments like that. Like, the camera work is fucking dizzying.
Yeah, and I wonder if that is them trying to get that comic book very like action, you know, moving style. Because I didn't necessarily hate a lot of the camera work. I feel like a few of the shots are like, oh, okay, that wasn't terrible. It's at least somewhat competently done in some ways.
Maybe. The one thing I like giving them the benefit of the doubt is like, yeah, maybe there was an attempt made, maybe, to be like a comic book. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And speaking of the mask part, like, it started on such a high when he I think this might be the most like hard to pin down dud that we've done so far with like how I feel about it. It's like, it's the weirdest. I had like the weirdest boner after watching it. That's the kind of thing it was.
It was because it was the feet shot at the end. Yeah,
the feet shot. Oh no. But there was a bit at the end that did make me go, like, I put, what the fuck did that mean? But no. When Jamie Kennedy gets the mask the first time, I was losing my fucking mind that whole scene.
My bad. Maybe I left in my other pants.
And I was like, I haven't watching the dud movies. It's either just been like, ugh, this is boring. It's not funny. It's just it's just a bad movie. Or it's like, I love this. This is hilarious. That whole mask scene, I was laughing, and I was disturbed, and I was cringing, like I was watching like a cringe compilation on YouTube. It was hard to watch, but it was also funny, and it was the best part of the whole movie. And then he doesn't put it on until the very end of the movie. I wanted more Jamie Kennedy mask, but at the same time, I didn't want any of it. It was very conflicting.
I was like, is that Jamie Kennedy's voice? I wondered. So. Just the way that it was done was just like, he had that like affectation to his voice, or it was just like.
That was one of the things where that I mean, like, when I was watching it, where I was just so confused. Why does he look so fucking ugly? Why do they give him that weird plastic hair? So I thought when he's doing like the song, and then they transform into like cowboy uniforms. I thought he looked like one of the guys from the music video for Winona's Big Brown Beaver.
Yes, especially with like the jawline and like that uncanny valley. Yeah.
But yeah, his fucking voice. Like, at the end, I laughed so fucking hard when just out of nowhere, Loki's like, "Hey, I spent 5 minutes with your kid. I want to be his new dad. And then they're like, let's let him decide. And the parents are like, okay. And then
makes sense to me.
It's like, supposed to be this important moment where these parents they're willing to, or they might lose their kid, I guess, if this infant doesn't crawl towards them. And Jamie Kennedy in the mask is like, Alvy, I'm your dad. That weird fucking voice. It's like, don't talk.
You want the kid to come to you, not away.
Alvy, I'm your real dad.
Oh man.
I want to know what the director was like telling him to motivate him to be like, this is Jamie Kennedy's impersonation of like what a confidence guy sounds like, and it's like this smarmy like hey.
Yeah, like I just think of how much character Jim Carrey's mask had, versus this one, which is like I don't even know what it is. And I think that part of the reason it was so weird is because they gave him those huge fucking teeth, and I think when they were shooting it, I don't think he could talk for shit, because I'm pretty
probably
sure
not.
I'm pretty sure every single line of when he's in the mask mode is dubbed. And
yeah, maybe that's why I couldn't tell if it was actually him.
Yeah, I think because in the climax scene, there is a part where he gets, maybe it's when the baby starts crawling towards Loki or some other part, but he gets a little more desperate and less like cocky or whatever when he has the mask on, and he kind of naturally slips into, like, he sounds just like Jamie Kennedy, like not even doing a voice, and it sounds real, like the transition from the like, oh, I'm the man, blah blah blah, into like regular Jamie Kennedy voice. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think the whole thing is him.
It's just done so bizarrely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, comparing it to like the Jim Carrey one, you can clearly tell that it's Jim Carrey, like the way that they do the prosthetic, like the green mask. It's like, it's him. You can tell. With Jamie Kennedy, it's like they just, this is supposed to be, this is the mask, and you went the cheapest route possible and got like some dollar store plastic hair and put it on him, and it's just like, I'm supposed to recognize that as Jamie Kennedy's character. Yeah.
I think with Loki, whenever he went mask mode, I think that was just like the hair the
Loki mask character didn't look terrible. It looked more like the Jim Carrey, because the same thing, I don't know, was there another mask in the Jim Carrey one? Because I feel like it was someone else got a hold of it and put it on, like the gangster guy. So it was like Jim Carrey versus like the gangster guy. But I don't know if they both turned into the green guy at the same time or not.
I think it was just the one. It was just the one mask. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, the Loki mask wasn't terrible looking. This is kind of a star-studded movie too, which is weird.
I wasn't expecting Bob Hoskins to be in it, at least.
Yeah. Bob Hoskins is the Flying Dutchman in SpongeBob, right?
Is he?
Because that's all I heard when he's like, Loki! It sounded like the Flying Dutchman from SpongeBob.
Huh. I don't... I'm going to check.
I'm pretty sure he's the Flying Dutchman.
Oh, no. It's Brian Doyle Murray. He's in a lot of old like Bill Murray stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's in like Groundhog Day.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, he kind of just sounds like the Flying Dutchman. That's like only like a slightly embellished version of his own voice.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
You'd probably recognize him if you saw him.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, and then Stephen Wright was not expecting to be in
Yeah,
that.
That's
It's
like
like you're a comedian. You know what's funny. Why are you in this dog shit?
The
Paycheck.
Flying Dutchman is the reason he's in all those Bill Murray movies is because he's Bill Murray's brother. So there you go. So.
Well, I like it. I guess that makes sense. We got a pre-Obama administration Cal Penn.
Cal Penn, yeah. Of course, doing an accent, which I guess I can say at least it wasn't a white guy doing it, but it's still very weird.
Was it like an Indian guy accent? Because he kept calling him Holmes. So I was like, is he supposed to be Hispanic?
It was light, but oh no, you're right. No, it had to have been because his name, he's credited as Jorge, and I don't want to do it, but the way he said bro, that's how like people doing Indian accents or Pakistani accents say bro.
Oh, because if his name was Jorge, I was gonna be like, did this director just see him and like look at the skin tone and be like, yeah, you're Mexican, right?
Yeah.
And then Cal's like, he's like, yeah, cool, you're Mexican. And he's just, and he just keeps walking. Is like, all right, that's what you're doing for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
This is like 2 years before he went to work for Obama. That's so funny.
Since we're on that, somebody that I'm always really proud of myself because he was in this for 2 seconds. It's after the first time Jamie Kennedy puts on the mask and he comes back to work and he's walking down the hallway and there's people being like, hey, that was awesome at the party last night.
Yeah.
And it's one of those guys, and I'm pretty sure that's the only time you see him. He's not super famous, but I was just felt pretty proud that I pulled it out. It was Damon Harriman, who I mostly know, or like I mostly think of him from Justified. He was a pretty like major character. He was Dewey Crow on that, but he was Charles Manson in both Mindhunter and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because he looks a lot like Charles Manson.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he's in a couple other things I like. The Nightingale is another movie that I really like. But yeah, there's a little like, I know that guy moment.
Those little diamonds in the rough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this chick I wanted to check out because her voice seemed really familiar. The neighbor, Betty. I meant to check out her name. Or her voice sounded so familiar. Says she's in Babe and the Happy Feet movies. So she must be a friend of George Miller. That's his name? Oh, why can't I think of that guy's name? It must just be those, I guess. I'm probably thinking of Babe then. She's the farmer's wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking at her television appearances, and
There's not much. It's one of those where the voice sounds like I've heard it in a million things, but it's probably just Babe.
Probably.
It's funny before we started the movie, I had to put in the like code on Amazon because like enter your 5-digit PIN and then it just automatically like accesses your shit. And Kalia does this anytime I ask her for like any like code or like, you know, a PIN for like her card or whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless of because it's not the actual number. I guess I'll say that on here. That's not the actual PIN number or whatever. But from our Avengers movies, that she'll go 5, 5, 5, 5. And then like the movie starts and we're like, oh hey, Loki. And then she's like, oh, and he has the same hair that Isaiah gives you at the beginning of Avengers.
That's true.
So that's all I could like see at the time.
Yeah, when I watched this, so yeah, last week we said that it was either on Tubi or for rental on YouTube, and it turns out it is not on Tubi anymore. It was when we initially put it in the cup. So I did I even checked because I assumed that Trevor would have it on his Plex server. Was not on there. I'm really let down.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Because if you look at Trevor's letterbox, all he watches are terrible, god-awful movies. That's all he watches.
Yeah.
But so I had to rent it for $2.99 on Apple TV, and then I watched it during the daylight. I was debating watching it like the other night, but I was like, no, I should watch this while it's light outside, because you know, if I decide to kill myself, nightmares. I'll see that it's like, oh, the sun's out. Maybe it's not all. But I made a joke on Twitter. I was like, I'm watching Son of the Mask for this podcast that gets an average of 6 listens per episode. Like, I'm writing down every single name I see on screen and putting it in my manifesto. It's so bad.
Okay, before we get into this other thing I want to talk about, since we mentioned it, since I like touched on it before, the thing that made me go what the fuck at the end was when I should have wrote down like what he said exactly, because I think it was the combination. But the ending scene, they're watching Jamie Kennedy's new show that just got on. It's his big break or whatever. And then she's like, oh, you missed a character. And then he's like, oh, what do you mean? She like points at her stomach, like he's like, you're pregnant? And then he doesn't say like, how did that happen? Because that would be a little weird, but something to like imply that he's like, oh, that's a surprise to me, kind of like that. And then the camera fucking zooms in on the baby and it winks at the camera, and I was like, okay. What does that mean?
What do you think about that, Double A? Little brother and sister? How does that sound?
Because he can only impregnate his wife when he's got the mask on. Now he doesn't have the mask. So what does that mean?
Oh, I do remember that, the baby winking at the end, but I must have been like checked out because I do not remember that. What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, that was part of it. Part of like the controversy, not really controversy, but like this movie's rated PG, but apparently it was like criticized because a lot of it seemed to be, they were like, it was like deemed too inappropriate for a PG film.
Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to get to next. Do you know about the deleted scene? Which apparently is in the UK release or something, and it was on like the earlier releases, which is, I'm really bummed Dagan wasn't on this because I want to know if like his DVD had. Oh wait, he said it was too scratched up. That's right.
Is it green cum?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was Trevor's review of Son of the Mask, was like he really filled that lady with green cum. But like I'm watching the movie and I was like, I didn't see it.
So I found a clip and I can send it, I can like link it to you afterwards. It's actually from another podcast where they're talking about it. but like in the middle of it, it shows the scene, and I couldn't find it anywhere else on YouTube except a 64 times slowed down and upgraded to like 4K restoration of it. So it's an hour and a half. But yeah, it shows them like laying in bed after, like in the movie, he comes home with the mask on and he just says like, "Hey baby," and then it cuts to the morning and it implies that they had sex. But in this, in between that, it goes back to them like sleeping in bed post coitus, and then the camera like does a quick like zoom in on her stomach, her belly, and then it like keeps zooming in, and then you see all these like sperm in the background floating, and then 3 like CGI mask sperm.
I see.
Like,
I Google imaged it. There they are.
And it's like a comical like race between them to get to like fertilize her egg. And I don't know if this was added in the YouTube video or if this was like in the movie itself. I don't know if they added it themselves. But it's playing like what is it playing? Oh, it's playing the Chariots of Fire. Dun 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 dun. And they're all like racing, and then one of them like bites the other one's tail and like throws it back, and then its eyes like pop out of its head, and it goes back. And then until one of them is left, and it hits the egg, and the egg like turns green as the the music crescendos. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The sperms look like that. The like, let's fucking go smiley face.
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Those huge teeth. Jesus God.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I would have liked it more if they actually kept that scene in.
That's the director's cut, baby.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, Milos Forman and Lawrence Guterman, the two great visionaries censored by the board of cinema people.
Yeah.
Christ. I don't know if I have much else to say about this movie, for being completely honest. Yeah, I feel like it tried to be like too slapsticky. It tried to rip off too many of like those old, like, I don't know if it's Hanna-Barbera or like those old school cartoons, because like that was like the whole thing is like Jamie Kennedy's character is like this cartoonist. It's very light on plot, but he's like a cartoonist who wants to like make a big break for like the boss, and it's just like nothing felt super like. It felt like there were way too many plot lines going on, and none of them were really consequential whatsoever. Yeah, like you're gonna miss the. Like, if they had fleshed them out a little bit better, like, oh, you got the whole, like, you have to go to the boss and you have to present your idea, but, like, he can only come up with the ideas when he's wearing the mask or the... Cause, like,
I don't know. The boss is like, oh, that green guy. Such a great idea. And my first thought was, really? What did you get from that?
He sings and dances, so that's.
And then he acts later on. He's like, "Oh, the dog and the baby fighting for the human's affection. How did you think of that?"
Yeah,
I don't know. I was thinking, like, in a sense, it's almost like the movie itself being like, "How did we come up with this plot of this movie? It's so smart." What a clever idea. Humans are, or no, because they like say at the beginning, like, oh, dogs are man's best friend. No, the baby is. Wow. That's resonant, I guess.
What else has Alan Cumming been in? I feel like I know that. Oh, Spy Kids. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Spy Kids is probably the other thing you're thinking of. But he is forever. Fucking what's his last name in that? I wish I could think of his whole name. But he's forever Boris from GoldenEye for me.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. That's right.
Boris Grishenko. That's his last name.
Yeah, I feel like I remember it wasn't his face in the GoldenEye N64 game.
Yep. Yeah, because he's a pretty major character in the movie. So yeah, he's one that you can play as. Yeah.
That's right.
I only got so far with it, but because there's Loki and Odin and mention of Thor, I was like imagining the MCU with Son of the Mask characters instead. Which, like, to be honest, Bob Hoskins be a fine Odin.
Yeah, no, he wasn't terrible.
Alan Cumming with
not the worst Loki.
Yeah, like the performance, like if it was the scripts from like the Avengers movies, he could do it fine. Yeah.
I felt like Bob Hoskins as Odin, I feel like he was like covered in makeup to the point where I wonder if he was just like, I don't want anyone to be able to recognize that it's me. Although I think this is also after the Super Mario Brothers movie, so it's like the damage is done, dude.
Yeah, really. Yeah, honestly, like until the end, until you see him in person, yeah, I wouldn't have known it was Bob Hoskins if his name wasn't in the opening credits. I didn't even think he sounded like Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
You are, in every sense of the word, a failure.
But the only thing else that I got was Stephen Wright is Nick Fury.
Okay.
The baby, I think, was Spider-Man. I never thought of one for Jamie Kennedy. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't know if I should go.
He's pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He made an entire documentary that was pretty much just spurned from all the hate. Yeah.
Yeah, I read about that.
I remember because I think I watched Heckler on Netflix. This is like I knew who Jamie Kennedy was, and I was like, okay, this guy, I think from what I've gathered, he sucks, but like whatever. It seemed like an interesting premise because there were a bunch of comedians in it. Like I think Lewis Black was in it. Like they had all these comedians talking about hecklers, and it's kind of an interesting idea to hear their perspective because it's like some comedians think, they don't hate hecklers because some really great comedy moments have come from hecklers, but also it's like it sucks to like deal with. And I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting documentary. It's kind of interesting to see all these different comedians' perspectives. And then about halfway through, I feel like Jamie Kennedy kind of pulls the rug out from under you. And then it turns into just him going around to film reviewers and confronting them about like the bad reviews that they've given to his movies. Like he confronts like the ones that are like that use very flowery language to describe Jamie Kennedy movies. Like I'm exaggerating, but it'd be Jamie Kennedy sitting with like Roger Ebert or whoever being like, you wrote in an article in the New York Times that like my film was a cinematic abortion or like something like that. But it's like he's literally, it's like very uncomfortable. I was like, oh, this started out as an interesting examination about comedians and hecklers, and then it just turned into your pet project of confronting everyone who's ever been mean to you in the written form and being like, hey, why are you mean to me? Why do you hate me so much? I was like, oh, maybe it's because you do shit like this.
Yeah. I could almost see that being like a bit, because he used to do the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, which is like a sort of reality like prank type show.
Yeah.
Where he would kind of play like an obnoxious asshole sometimes, but then it also could just be that he is that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of makes me want to see it even more. I also read that it includes footage of Uwe Boll's boxing matches and that's awesome, because like Uwe Boll is fucking crazy, but like in a super entertaining way. Like, of course Uwe Boll boxed his critics. That's such a him thing to do.
Very famously, he beat the shit out of Lotax from Something Awful.
Oh, okay.
Lotax, he died like a few months ago, apparently.
Oh, shit.
But he was the founder of the Something Awful forums, and I think they like fundraised something to send him to go box Uwe Boll, and he got destroyed by him, apparently. Like,
holy shit.
He became like the butt of jokes on Something Awful because he like challenged him and like got his ass kicked.
That's awesome. I'm trying to find it. He has
God, there's a YouTube video of it.
Is there?
Yeah.
Awesome. He has a I wish I could find it. I'm gonna try that. He has a Letterboxd and he reviews movies on that.
Oh, Uwe Boll does?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, maybe he doesn't have it anymore. Maybe it got deleted. Or maybe he just stopped using it. I don't know.
That's amazing. Oh, he made an Alone in the Dark movie.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that the movie with the guy with the scissors? You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe?
Alone in the Dark was one of the earliest horror games ever made. It was like made for the PC. And it was like,
I know I know that that's like based on a game or whatever.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different game. There's a different game where there's like it's like the earliest jump scare where it's like there's just like an antagonist with like giant scissors that'll appear out of the room and chase you, and you have to run away. It might be Alone in the Dark. I don't know. Do you want to?
He's another one where we could. Oh yeah,
thoughts?
for sure. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I have
spent.
nothing else to say. Yeah. I don't even. I was just gonna say I'm kind of surprised, but I don't think I've put a single Uwe Boll movie in the Duds Cup. But you could. He's one of those where you could just pick a random one off of his list and it would probably work.
Sorry, I'm reading about him, and there's something on here that made me laugh really hard, but I'm not gonna say it on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's comments he made about Michael Bay and Eli Roth.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say maybe we should like exclusively like change our Dud Cup to exclusively an Uwe Boll Cup until he decides to box one of us.
That would be amazing. He's like 50 something, but I guarantee
he's
he
up
could
there
like
now.
He could kick our asses.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. It's like, do we get to choose our fighter?
Yeah. Travis seems pretty spry.
Or Dagan.
Or Dagan, yeah.
But yeah. Movie review. Yeah. That's it. No, yeah, like I said before, it's really hard to categorize for me. I think it was a very interesting watch. Just like witnessing how how just terrifying all the visuals were, and just like how it kept coming up with new things to be terrifying. Like the first fucking scene, Loki pulls Ben Stein's face off of his head and then like sticks it on like the display case.
Yeah.
All this stuff, like whenever the baby's like CGI. But then when it does stuff like it like it's like does like like it's blowing its own head up like a balloon.
Yeah.
No, there was a part where they're doing Super Twister, and I wrote down that when it does like the like wide shot and you see them all like twisted around, it looked like Uzumaki to me.
Is that the Junji Ito monster?
Yeah, it's one of the books. It's Spiral.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
And then like turns like the neighbor lady's head into just a nose, and then I guess just kind of leaves it that way. Cuz like he goes and then like she shows up later and she's still just a nose. Yeah, so very, very interesting. Like I said, the most just bonkers scene was that first scene with Jamie Kennedy. The whole time I was fucking losing it. Like, I wasn't like laughing, losing it, but I was just like in my head, like, oh my God, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
So I think, and like the second scene with him as the mask was like my next favorite scene, but it wasn't as good. But I think just because of that, like purely based on that first scene with him as the mask, it's a spud for me. I'm gonna say it's like it's a potato that it's like a baby red potato, and it's got a little got a little brown, and you're like, usually you don't get baby reds, but you decided to go in this week and get some baby reds because you're feeling fancy, but since you don't usually cook with them, you're like, are those still good? I'm not sure if those are still like edible. You cook them anyways because you don't have anything else to eat that night with your ramen. And then you eat them, and you're like, still when you're eating them, you're like, okay, these are good, but I can't. They taste a little funky in there. And then you add some ketchup, and that kind of adds. It's a different combination than you're used to, and then you're like, me. Okay, yeah, I think the potatoes are going a little, because this isn't how they should taste with ketchup.
Okay. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. Oh, it's tough. It's tough for me. I think I'm gonna go with dud, not spud here.
Okay.
I think if there had been more scenes with Jamie Kennedy doing the mask stuff, as terrible as I thought the ADR like voiceover was of his like
added to it for me. That's
hey, I'm your dad. Like that voice that he does. I mean, because I think, looking back at the original The Mask movie, that's what made it, was like Jim Carrey's antics as the Mask, and is like as terrible as aping it as Jamie Kennedy was. It was the most interesting part of the entire movie, were those sequences. I could give two shits about the baby and the dog plot line I was like, this is the most boring shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And maybe if I had seen the cut that has the masked sperm in it, maybe it would have elevated it to like you said, a little potato that's like, I've had this in my pantry for a little while. It's starting to do that thing where like the little other sprigs are starting to come out of the like the little eyes, if you will. I was like, you can kind of pick those off and you can still have a decent potato out of it. No, this is... I kind of rate it based on like if I would watch it with like a group of friends and like laugh at it, and I don't think there was enough in this at all to like laugh at or enjoy even semi-ironically.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely a dud for me.
Nice.
But I appreciate I appreciate your comments though, yeah, because there's parts, there's elements. It definitely, the most terrifying elements are the most interesting elements, but there's not as many as I would like.
Yeah, putting it in the context of like, would I watch it with a group of friends? It's tough. I mean, even the ones that I do consider spuds, I still like the only ones that I would really love to are like the tops, like Ben and Arthur. I want to watch with people.
Yeah.
And then maybe Captain Alex too.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
Might not be the best metric.
This one I would maybe. I don't know. Just to go like, what the fuck, but
you guys seeing this shit?
Yeah. There was enough like little things in between that I think kind of like kept me watch. Just like even small things like Calpen's accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gave me something to go like, why? Speaking of, I don't know.
Soulless cash grabs.
Yeah.
Here's an ad.
I'm bad at these.
I am curious to talk about the first thing on your list, though, which is Paper Mario Revisit. Have you been playing it on the the Switch?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're back. I'll just get that.
Hi.
Yeah, I have. I'm actually like, it's the first time I've played it in maybe 10 years, and I've never 100%ed it before, so I decided to do that this time. So I beat chapter 7. So all I have to do is make my way up to Bowser's Castle and beat the game. So I'm doing all like the end game, like completion-y stuff. And it's still great. It's such a good game. I think I have realized that playing through it this time, although who knows, I could play Thousand Year Door and reassess then, because I haven't played that in a long time either. I do think I like Thousand Year Door more. Or no, I don't want to say it. I think Thousand Year Door is the better game. It's the superior game. I don't know. It's very hard for me to pick between them. I think I think the first one has more of my heart.
Yeah.
Both fantastic games. Like both individually top 20 at least for me.
Oh yeah.
I think Thousand Year Door has higher highs than the first one, but also lower lows.
Sure.
And I'm thinking more like broadly, like chapter by chapter, because from memory, I really don't care for chapter 7 in Thousand Year Door, where you go to the moon base.
Yeah.
And then like chapter 2, where you go to the Boogly tree. I forgot what it's called. It's like the monochrome. That's whatever.
Yeah.
But Thousand Year Door has the Posh Express,
the Excess Express.
Excess Express, where you go to Poshley Heights.
Yeah, that's easily the best part of the whole game.
Yep, that, and then Glitz Pit is.
Glitz Pit's great.
I love any time those games venture, as fun as, you know, I don't dislike, you know, even Chapter 1 in Thousand Year Door, which is basically a retread of Chapter 1 in the first one. It's just you go to a castle and it's like basic puzzles and stuff. I like that stuff too. But anytime it ventures away from that and you get like the Glitz Pit, where it's like, it's not a traditional dungeon, it's like you're in a wrestling thing, and it you're doing like you're trying to like figure out this like
you're getting
mystery
these
around
text
it,
messages from a mystery person to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah.
No, I streamed the whole game last summer, so like it's fairly still fresh in my memory. And my only issue, and that's only because I'm much more older and seasoned as a video game player, Thousand Year Door is very easy.
Oh yeah.
It's very.
Oh, okay.
There were very few moments where I was like, I might lose this fight. If you get the action command down and you get the right badges and do the right shit and like time out your moves, I was just like, oh, I remember like dying several times to like the final Princess Peach as the queen boss fight. I think I nailed it in one, like on my replay. So I was like, oh, this isn't as hard as I remember it.
Yeah.
Although I didn't beat Gloomtail.
Ah, okay.
Which Gloomtail I've heard is like very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, so for your 100% completion of the first one, are you counting all of those boss fights too? Like,
yeah, I already did.
What's his name? Kent C. Koopa.
Yeah.
And then like the Dojo Master.
The Master, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna go into that when you mentioned Gloomtail or whatever. Yeah, because that was one of the things I never did was beat the final form of the Master and Kent C. Koopa. And I think, like you said, it's purely like badges and badge power is just OP in that game. If you know it reminds me, playing it now, it reminds me a lot of a board game that I really like called Aeon's End, where it's a deck building game where you play you're like on a team of spellcasters and you're fighting against this giant big bad. And the game is when you set up the game to play it, you choose your pool of market cards. Do you know what a deck builder is? It's like where you start with like a very small amount of cards, and then those cards that you have allow you to purchase more cards to add to your deck.
Okay.
So you purchase more cards, and then you get more powerful cards, and then you go from there.
Okay.
And that game, the difficulty ranges extremely depending on what your pool of like cards that you can buy are. And that's like what I was thinking, like with the badges, because I've found myself being like kicking ass in Paper Mario 1. The last two boss fights were like challenging. Huff and Puff is pretty tricky because he can heal like so much, like so quickly, but it comes down to badges, because with Kent C. Koopa and the Master, I beat them so easy.
Okay.
Because Kent C. Koopa's weakness is Lullaby. I think it works on him like almost every time. So you hit him with Lullaby, and then he's asleep for a few turns, and then you do your ground pound, and once he's flipped over, his defense is still like 3, but if you have like power bounce or whatever, you're still doing a good amount of damage to him. Or no, yeah, if you hit his tail doesn't have any defense. And basically, he was asleep for like 3 or 4 turns. He woke up, and I killed him on that turn, so he didn't attack me once.
Oh shit!
And it's because what I've done this time is usually when I play, I kind of like when I was younger, I was just like, yeah, I want to have like power smash. I want to have like these cool abilities, that I can choose between for my attack. But this time I went purely, and this means you can only have like 4 or 5 badges because there's so much badge power. Because there's 6 badge power each for, I have 2 that each one gives me a +1 to my attack. So I have a +2 to my attack, and then I have one that's +1 to your defense, and then I have 2 more that are +1 to your defense if you hit the action command. So if I hit the action command, I'm adding +3 to my defense. And then there's one that's flower saver, so you use 1 fewer flower points per attack you use, and it's just it changes the game. With the master, who has 99 HP, Jesus. I put on a jump charge badge, and I just charged for a few turns, and then I did power bounce, and I power bounced for like 14 points of damage with each jump, and I killed him in one go. I'm gonna try to not like cheese it so much through Bowser's castle. Like I don't want to
do that to Bowser then, couldn't you?
You could, yeah. I actually wonder, another thing that's kind of funny is as you progress in that game, the weaker enemies give you less and less star points to a point where they give you none.
Yeah.
And so I usually have the bump attack badge on, which when you have that on, it's just if you touch them, they just disappear. You don't even go into the fighting animation, so it saves a lot of time. Right. I'm almost like max leveled before going up to Bowser's castle, so I wonder if I'm just going to just bump attack like my way through his castle, and it's gonna take like no time at all.
That'd be so nice, because aren't there segments where, or maybe I'm thinking 1,000 Year Door, where it's like the bullet bills are like shooting down the hall, and like you have to. That might just be 1,000 Year Door.
That might be in the first one. They might do that again, but in the first dungeon, you're like on the roof of the castle, and it's like as you're making your way to the boss fight, they're shooting those at you.
That's right. That might be what I'm thinking of.
So it happens there.
Okay.
But yeah, the first one does. I was saying like 1,000 Year Door has the higher highs and lower lows. Contrasts with that with the first one, I think is just more solid throughout. It doesn't reach the heights. It doesn't reach the Poshly heights of 1,000 Year Door.
Yeah.
But there's not really like a low point in that game. I think like every chapter.
All the locations are like, the locations are pretty great.
Yeah. Especially when you get like, there's really great like Shy Guy's toy boxes.
Yeah.
Really neat concept. Flower Fields also is really neat. Really good like payoff.
And we've talked about it before. Tubba Blubba, that whole segment is.
Yeah.
Tubba Blubba's castle is great. Like that, yeah.
I forgot about the like drones that fly around.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that's also like really nerve wracking, and I completely forgot about those guys. But yeah, they're great. I think because James is actually playing it too, and I meant to mention that actually, that I think it comes with playing Paper Mario specifically, and another reason why I think badge power is so key, because I've been like kind of touching base with him here and there, like, oh, how far are you? And he's like, it was taking him a lot longer to get through it, because he's like this game is really hard. And I mean, James is not a noob to video games or RPGs at all.
Yeah.
But the badge system is pretty unique to Paper Mario, And I think it's just kind of being more versed in that and like knowing that really gives you the advantage in that game.
Yeah, I think when I played Thousand Year Door, every time I leveled up, I think for the most part, I put all of them into badge points. Mm-hmm. Like I got my health up a little bit, but I don't think I hit past 35, 40 health.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get up there that much at all. I mean, it was basically flower points and badge power because like I just used the right combination of badges and like you get that action command down and then it's well, it's like Thousand Year Door introduces, because like if you press A you do defense, but if you press B you do a counter attack. And so like I got good at that, and then it was just like I would fight bosses and I wouldn't even get hit because like I would counter.
Yeah, that's the thing I noticed in the later bosses, not as much because they just have so much health that like you're not gonna kill them in one hit anyways. But I would find that like early on in the game, I wouldn't really need to worry about my health because I could end fights before they even got a chance to attack.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing in that game. I think that's like built into the game though, is that like if you do get hit, you can lose health really fast. So I think the defending with action command and just finding ways to stop your enemies from attacking, it's important because you can lose a good chunk of your health in like one go, especially if you're fighting multiple enemies.
Yeah, I think that was always the hardest part for Thousand Year Door was the moon base part, where like the little X chromosome guys.
Yeah.
Where they
like fly around.
Yeah, you would hit them once, and then they would attack, and every time they did an attack, they would pop out a little guy that made a circle around them. And if you didn't take care of them fast enough, they would have like 3 of them. And next thing you know, you're wasting turns trying to kill those guys so you can eventually hit the main guy. And it's like whenever there's like multiples on a screen, that's when it gets tough. When like, what is it, Cortez? When you're fighting Cortez on the boat,
all of his arms aren't they like
arms? But there'll be like a sword and then a hook and then like another weapon that are like floating there. And I think they count as like sharp things too, so you can't jump on them like unless you have like the spike protection badge or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Spike shield.
Yeah. Speaking of other RPGs that just got dropped on the Switch, also. Oh. Because there was like a Nintendo Direct. Yeah. Earthbound and Earthbound 0 are now on the Switch, which is cool. Andrew actually texted me. He scared the shit out of me because he's like, did I hear that Mother 3 is getting a localization? And I was like, what? And then it turned out it was just Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings being released on the Switch. So I mean, it's cool. That's my great white whale. I don't think Mother 3 will ever get a localization, which is a bummer. But you can still play the translation for free online, and I'd recommend everyone do so. It's probably the saddest RPG I've ever played. But that's another game.
What is Earthbound? So the series is Mother?
In Japan, they're called Mother.
Okay.
So in Japan, Earthbound is called Mother 2.
Okay.
Earthbound Beginnings for the NES is called Mother over in Japan.
Okay.
And that game got fully translated for the NES to come over to the United States, but I think by the time like the NES was basically done with its life cycle, they translated it, but they never bothered releasing it. So cartridges do exist of an English translation of the game, but they never got commercially released over here.
Okay.
So when they re-released it in like 2015 for the Wii U, they called it Earthbound Beginnings. Yeah, that's what they called it. Because if they called it Mother, And then it's like they're like, well, what's Mother 2? What's it a sequel to? A game that never got released over here. So they called it Earthbound. So then Mother 3, obviously, for the Game Boy Advance. It was originally supposed to be for the N64. And there's like a bunch of videos of like the demo of it, and it kind of looks terrible.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know. I think they wanted to do like the 64 disc drive with it too, just because it was such a big game that they wanted to like add more RAM to it or whatever. But this is a long digression. But anyway, if you've never played Earthbound, that's another RPG that is very good, but it's probably one of the hardest RPGs I've ever played. And it's one of those games that, like, if you don't talk to every character in town, you won't know where to go next. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I heard that there's something in this location just out of town. But if you don't talk to that character, you don't get that important piece of information. Okay. And then you're like, well, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
You just kind of wander around. But I would say Paper Mario games are up there in like RPGs. I don't know. I'm not like a big RPG guy. I guess it really depends on the game itself. Like, I've never played a Final Fantasy game. They don't particularly interest me. I've never played a Pokemon game before. Not because like I just don't want to. It just never really like appealed to me. But like, you know, Paper Mario, like Thousand Year Door, Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Mother 3, like those games are all like, oh, I don't know what it is about them. I think the music in all of them, I think, is a huge part. Which I've heard Final Fantasy music is good.
Yeah, Final Fantasy music is good.
But like the Paper Mario music for all those like little I think Mario games and Nintendo games in particular are just, those soundtracks are so stacked.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
There's a video I was gonna send it to you. It's a bit heavy into like music theory stuff, but it's a video analyzing Aeryl's theme from Wind Waker.
Okay.
And how like they use it throughout to convey like the scenes with her. I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was really good.
I like that.
And it was also just like further solidifying that like Wind Waker is probably the best Zelda game.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I actually, one of the times I was talking to James about Paper Mario, I like brought up the Earthbound thing, and so I think we're both gonna try that out at some point, because I've always wanted to, just never really had the one of those, just never really had the means or whatever.
Yeah.
What else was? Oh, I was just gonna say about Final Fantasy that, like, I think with me too, it's I do every RPG that I've enjoyed, I really enjoy, but then like if it just doesn't click with me, it just doesn't. Like, I haven't played every Final Fantasy game. I mean, especially not like any in the past like 10-15 years. I don't follow those at all, really. They just seem like so different to me. But also I don't have a PlayStation, so but like, to me, my Final Fantasy games is like Final Fantasy 2, which is Final Fantasy 4 in Japan, and then Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
I've heard those are good. Was that a Game Boy Advance game?
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah,
that's the only Tactics one I played, but oh my god, I fucking love that game. So good. That, dude, like, getting that, and I got that and Metroid Fusion like when I got my Game Boy Advance, and those are like two like all-time games for me.
Yeah. I might have to emulate that one. Unless is it on anything? Is it on the Wii U?
Which Tactic, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, Tactics. I think they both might be on the Wii U and like the Virtual Console.
Oh, I don't know. I never had a Wii U, so I don't really know anything about that.
Well, they're discontinuing the online store. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see
for
that,
the 3DS as well.
Yeah.
which I'll make the obvious joke. This is terrible news for the 12 Wii U owners out there.
Yeah. They need.
I got one, but
Yeah. They need to. They need to, like, next year for the Nintendo Switch Online Plus thing, they need to add Game Boy Advance titles. That's the next stage.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Well, that was so huge with the Wii U when they added Game Boy Advance titles, because I've never really played it before, but like I got Golden Sun. Like I've heard that game is great.
Golden Sun is pretty good.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, it's on the Wii U. I can grab this now. I can just play it if I want to. I think Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is on there as well.
Oh, yeah, that's dope. If it is, yeah, I would highly recommend that one, because it's different than the other ones. It's still an RPG where you level up and it's turn based and whatever, but it's very different than your typical like Final Fantasy type game. It's funny you mentioned Pokemon. Like when I think of, like, in my brain, I was trying to think of like RPG games that I like. Pokemon is almost like its own thing, but it is clearly an RPG, but
it's like turn based, but it's not really you fighting, it's Pokemon fighting.
Yeah, it's just it's a different kind of RPG, but you level up and it's
got the
turn-based,
elements there, but yeah.
If you got a Switch, you should get the Nintendo Plus or Nintendo Online thing, and you get a bunch of great games. I'm trying to like take advantage, since I did get the expansion pack thing, like, and just I want to like play through all of the N64 ones. Like I think Banjo-Kazooie is probably up next for that, and then
nice
Yoshi's Story maybe, because I never played that one before.
Yoshi Story, and is Kirby and the Crystal Shards on there?
It might be getting added, because they're like adding a new game each month.
Gotcha.
And they have like a short list for like the rest of the year or whatever, and it might be on there, maybe.
Oh, okay. Because that's like iconic.
Yeah.
Like when I think N64, I wonder if Donkey Kong 64 is going to be on there. I guess if Banjo-Kazooie is, because that's technically Rare, and Rare is owned by Microsoft now, but maybe they have some sort of licensing agreement or something.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's another one that I really want to get into, because they have the Donkey Kong countries on Super Nintendo on the virtual console thingy too, and those are another series of games that I've always wanted to try out.
They're hard. Donkey Kong Country is hard as dick. It is so hard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Soundtrack though is out of this world.
Yeah.
Have you heard Aquatic Ambience?
Is that the name of a song on that? Like, one of the tracks.
It's the underwater level.
I feel like I've seen like footage of it here and there. So like maybe I have. Maybe if I heard.
He's like riding a swordfish around.
Okay. It might. Maybe if I heard the song, I would.
Well, I'll screen share it. I'll screen share the song with you after this, because it is like maybe my favorite piece of music from like a game that I've never played that much.
Oh, okay.
It's so good.
Nice.
Do you want to pull from the cup?
Yeah. Do we want to do that? Do we want to do the thing that I said? Did you hear that, or did you
do you have like the set ones that you wanted to do?
Yeah. If that sounds.
Yeah, I'm good with with whatever.
Okay. I like the spread because. Okay, I guess for the listeners.
Yeah.
I went to the Comic-Con last year, and I had the idea to ask any of the celebrity guests that I met for a movie recommendation, which was it was funny seeing all of them tense up when I was like, I have a podcast, and they're like just waiting to be like, oh, I don't do that. And I immediately had to be like, don't worry, I'm not gonna ask you to be on it. But I just kind of like gave him a breakdown and like had him recommend a movie. So and I really like the variety I got. There's I think you have like some classics, some one that I've never heard of, but I think there's also one of these that I would be very surprised if any of us haven't seen it. Like I'm assuming all of us have seen one of the movies in particular. The first one I wanted to do, because I got 2 recommendations from Elijah Wood.
Nice.
Because he was the last person we met, and I was like, okay, I want to get a good one, but we don't have any duds. We don't have a dud. So I have both a good and our dud pick. So since the dud is going to be at the end of the month, we'll start and end it with Elijah Wood's picks.
Okay.
So for next week, I forgot, I got to look up the year and director or whatever. Elijah Wood has recommended Harvey from 1950, directed by Henry Koster.
Okay.
It's a Jimmy Stewart movie, so.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only seen it once. So I'm happy to see it again.
Nice. That's cool that we can even say these are recommended from
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
I don't know if we want to do that, but I thought for like the thumbnail for the episode, instead of just like the normal logo, just like have the picture of me with all the people or whatever. I don't know if that'd be like
yeah,
too
we could
much
definitely do that.
Because I think I got a picture with. Yeah, I got a picture with each of the people that
nice.
I did.
That's awesome.
With. Yeah. So watch Harvey before next week if you don't want to be spoiled. Going off of Google and not my Word doc, since that's obviously proven to be not totally accurate. Google says you can rent it off of YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon. So you got a few options.
Nice.
Watch it if you don't want to be spoiled. Blah blah blah. We do we usually do our socials first, or what's the other part?
We just kind of we do our outro with our name thing, but then socials too. I don't know. We're on all of them. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher, I think. We're on a bunch of other ones according to Anchor. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and what am I forgetting? One Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We
Twitch,
have a TikTok.
YouTube?
That yeah.
I guess
if you want to
those.
watch this, yeah.
This is a very weird episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it's the
We're
movie
bouncing all over the place.
Yeah. It's the movie coupled with just there being two of us, and it's weird how like I can have a conversation with you normally, like we did before when we started recording, and then just started talking about work stuff or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like for some reason, one-on-one podcast is just it's weird. It's a lot weirder.
Yeah. You think more about what you're saying because it's like this is going on the record.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that might be it. Where in like when it's like 3 or 4 people, you're like, oh, you kind of get drowned out in the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else can talk while I think of something funny to say or whatever, and then this is just like you got to be more on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And then am I making this up, or do I usually say at the end of the episode, like when these air? Like, do I usually say? I'm forgetting. Do I say that usually?
Yeah, we're on Twitch and YouTube. They premiere live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and they are also released in podcast form at 7 p.m. at the same time. So you'd have to go out of your way to not have us beamed into your screen.
Yeah, do I say that every week?
I think you do.
Okay.
If you don't, if you don't, I will.
Okay. I just need somebody to say that. I'm like, actually, I can't think. We just aired our last episode last night, and I don't remember. Okay. Anyways,
I think we've completed all of our outro things except for the actual outro now.
Yep. And I actually am ready for it this time.
Okay.
I'm your real dad. TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
Man. Oh shit! As always, I am your comically balloon inflated baby head, Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and that's it. There's no one else here.
Yep. Not even like I'm not here. We're not here.
Travis took a moral stand and decided that he was not going to spend any money on Jamie Kennedy, and I can't really fault him for that.
I think that was the right decision. We should have just pretended we lost this one too. And
yeah, the audio's messed up. Sorry. We recorded the whole episode, but we were going into a tunnel and the reception was bad. So
but what if that actually happened now? Like now
that
we
would
did
be funny.
Do this, because
my internet did go out. My internet went
true.
out before we started recording, so it's like the universe is trying to tell us, like, no.
Yeah, no. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.